Record. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode, another time with Black Buzz. Of course, I'm here. You got your boy KP here, Kenton Perrin, also known as KP. We have with us Miss Shay, TBENT. For all your musical needs, right? Definitely give her a link where whatever help you need. It could be on the church side or it could be on the other side, right? Sometimes it's either church or secular, right? But whatever it is, or if you want to contact someone in the music field, if she doesn't know the person directly, usually she's able to put you in touch with somebody that you need. We normally have on here our tech guru, Mr. Lamar Node. He has to take care of some things today. Shout outs to Lamar. We miss you, buddy. We miss you desperately. And he'll be back with us though next week. He has to, something important that he has to deal with. And of course, Miss T Kicks, she's also out taking care of some things. Remember, you can hit up T Kicks on was it YouTube, right? She's on YouTube. She is on Facebook as well. She's on Instagram for sure as at T Kicks. And whatever shoe customization needs you may have, she'll handle it. All right. So shout outs to T Kicks, and you'll see them back soon. We have so for Black Buzz today, in terms of linking us, remember, we're on Instagram, right? Shay, just make sure to correct me. I'm still getting used to all the platforms we're on. We're on Instagram, right? BlackBuzzT0. We are on YouTube, same thing, BlackBuzz as well. .to, yeah, BlackBuzzT0. And of course, we have our Facebook page, right? You're gonna be seeing seeing this information on all the platforms. If you want to come on here, you're a Black entrepreneur, you're a Black business owner, you are a person, trying to do your thing and in and for the Black community. Well, do your thing in general, right? But you're a Black person, and we want to highlight you. We want to celebrate you. So that's what Black Buzz is all about, right? And we like touching base with individuals. On that note, we have our special guest today. Our special guest is Miss Renee Barham. Miss Renee Barham. Hey, Renee, what's going on with you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right. So just before we get into our interview, Renee, and by the way, Renee being on here, you're gonna hear it in the bio as well. This is something that touches the Black community. We've all been through this, but you're gonna hear about it. But we all been through this, and we all gonna know, uh, appreciate the information that she will bring to us. All right. So Renee Barham is the founder and CEO. All right. Of MEIA, that's MEIA Immigration Consulting Inc. She is a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, that's RCIC, who is a member in good standing with the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council and the Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants. That's CAPIC.
KPIC.
Is it what, KPIC?
Yeah.
Okay, KPIC. All right. Services offered: Canadian immigration consultation and representation for persons wanting to come to Canada on a temporary or permanent basis, study permits, visitor visas, work permits, spousal sponsorship, permanent residency, etc. Professional partnership, Olds College in Alberta, IDP, IELTS. All right. Let's see here. Past professional experience, she spent over 8 years as a police officer in Jamaica. Uh-oh. um, and re- resigned in 2018 as a detective corporal. Most of her time was spent in the intelligence arm of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. She was also a delegate for 3 years, where she represented rank and file members of the JCF and a mentor in the JCF mentorship program. Um, she comes well qualified, folks. In terms of her education, University of Technology in Jamaica, UTech, Masters of Business Administration degree in Management, UTech Bachelor of Business Administration degree in Human Resources, Management and Marketing, student representative, School of Business Administration, a director of sports, UTech Students Union, CDI College in Mississauga, Ontario, diploma in immigration and consultation, or immigration consultant rather. She's married to Andrew Gordon, and she has 4 stepdaughters. Miss Renee.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Your bio, especially the immigration part, was a mouthful.
Yes.
Talk about being qualified and more than qualified. I won't say over, more than qualified.
We're trying.
Man, I love the hustle and I love the try. You're just being humble. It's okay. It's okay. Listen, welcome to Black Buzz. As I said, Black Buzz, if you are out there trying to do something in and for the Black community, right? We're all about that. Mm-hmm. And we want to make that information known and make people aware of you, right? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna get into just talking about what you do and why because you have an interesting dynamic here. You're coming from one side in terms of the JCF and a police officer. Now you're in immigration. Not to say that it's a big leap, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about, okay, so how did you decide to go into the field, and what make you decide to do that, and if you want to give us any background information before that, you can do that too, but let's talk.
No problem. All right, again, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And whatever information that I am able to impart, it is my pleasure. And whatever questions are there to be asked, I'll just try my very best to answer them. Right? Starting, how did I get in immigration? It's just that, funny enough, whilst in Jamaica, I have a urge and a love for traveling. Okay. Funny enough, I've only been to 3 countries, Jamaica, USA, and Canada. But I will travel a lot to there. And the thing is, I just used to take the excitement for looking for plane tickets, even when I'm not traveling. So I would just go on the computer and I'm just searching plane tickets. And I'm like, oh, this ticket is cheap, that ticket is cheap, and stuff like that. And then my friends would come to me at times, Renee, you see any cheap tickets going here, going Florida, going New York, wherever? And eventually, I just got an interest now in finding out more. If persons wanted to migrate, what do they do and all of that. And my sister, who is here, she's a citizen here. When she migrated, she was always like, why you don't come Canada? Why you don't come Canada? And I'm like, iffy at first, but then long and short of it, after being a police officer for so many years and being in Intel, you see a lot.
Right.
You see some things that you don't want to see. You know a lot, but then you're like, I just want to do something different. I want to make more use of myself in that regard, because especially what I was doing, it was more, well, I'm not doing it now, so I can say it was more covert intelligence.
Okay.
So certain things I could not do. I wasn't on Facebook for a while, stuff like that.
Yeah, we understand.
You understand, right? So, but I wanted to do more, especially in terms of helping others and stuff like that. And then my husband, at the time we weren't married, and he suggested, Renz, why not? Why we don't migrate? Because we had things going on in Jamaica in terms of just wanting something different, because he also was a police officer. And then I said, you know what, all right, let me look in it. My mom is in the US, my brother is in the US, my sister is in Canada, I'm in Jamaica, my dad died. So I'm like, okay.
What's holding me back, right?
What's holding me back? Exactly. My partner is willing to go. So I'm like, all right, you know what, let's research, make the move. And long and short of it, that's what we did. I remember saying to my sister, if I should come to Canada, I want to do something in immigration where I'm helping people, all of that. And it so happened, funny enough, when we came up like the Wednesday, I think it was the Saturday or the Sunday, my spouse was looking in the paper. He was looking at the newspaper and he immediately said, Renz, well, he calls me Booby, and he was like, Booby, isn't this something you said you want to do? And I'm like, how coincidental can that be that we land the Wednesday and the very Sunday that the information is there, and the rest was history. We went, got registered for school, did the program, everything, already had some of the qualifications in terms of their English tests and all of that. And from there, by going to school at CDI, I learned more in terms of Canadian immigration, what the processes are like and stuff like that. Some I would have already known because coming here, I did the process by myself, but it took a lot of research.
Right.
That's the difference, because some people, they do, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, you must get a consultant to guide you. It's not a must. And I tell clients that it's not a must. However, the consultant has some information that you won't have. And it's by going to school, even though I did the process on my own, it was through getting the formal education, I learned some more about the process, did the license exam, got licensed, passed all of that, registered the business, and here we are.
So how long did it take you to get the C, is it called the CDI? Yeah.
The program was an 8-month program. Yeah, but after doing the 8-month program, you have to enter where you see it says IDP IELTS. You don't necessarily have to have IELTS, but you have to have English language requirements. So after the formal education and getting the diploma, you must have your English results in order to sit the license exam.
Right.
So then you sit the license exam. If you're successful, of course, they grant you your license, you get your permission to register your company, and you start working.
So 8 months to do the program plus the piece that you just described. So the total was what, a year or a year and a few months? Or?
It's total a year.
Okay.
Put a year. Put a year and 6 months in total, because then you're gonna register after schooling, after the 8 months, to prepare for the exam is one thing, and it depends on how prepared you are. It depends on what information you have, because some of my classmates, well, at the time when I did my exam in my cohort, I was the only person who did the exam in my class, but the other group had about 2 persons from their group who did it. And then after doing the license exam, no, you first would have to do the English exam. So it depends on when you get a date for that. And then after being successful in the English exam, then you would do the license exam afterwards, and then you'd have to wait probably about 3 months for them to tell you what your results are, and it's just pass or fail. So they don't give you a grade, they just said whether or not you pass or fail. So I got the pass, and then they give you the permission to start the registration process for your business.
Okay. Is there a reason why you went to CDI versus one of the other known colleges in Canada?
It was closest to home.
Okay, very practical. There you go.
And some of the institutions actually, although I said 8 months,
Yeah.
some institutions it may be a year
Okay.
because they do it part-time. So like the known institutions that you would say, some of them provide it on a part-time basis. So it's gonna be longer. But for the most part, it's roughly 8 months.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, because I know when people hear about places like Everest or CDI, they get very tense because it's not like a known college and they don't know if it's like a money rift or whatever. So people tend to avoid it, even though it still has work.
It's good you say that too, because you don't just get up and go to any school that offers the program. The school has to be certified to do that program. And where you in the bio you would have read about ICCRC. They are the regulatory body for immigration consultants, so they would have to approve the school to do the program. So when I did my checks, realized that okay, CDI was approved. So I'm like, fine, if the regulatory body approves it, then it doesn't really matter which institution. And as I said, it was closer to home.
And you said right after you started your own company, so you never have you ever tried to work for a different consulting company, or you have been independent from day one?
I started independent from day one. However, yes, I did try, because of course you would send out we call resumes. It your resumes and stuff like that. But then nobody's not really looking at you because it's the industry is a what you would put, self-sustaining industry, in the sense that to each his own. So if they look at you, I'm not tooting my horn or anything, but I remember my instructor saying to me, Renee, you're gonna have a difficulty being hired because persons may feel threatened. And I'm like, why? But I don't have.
I was just about to ask you why.
And she said, yeah, but you already have a master's, you already have your bachelor's, and you know
what's going on.
What's what? And I'm like, okay, then. And after sending out things and not getting any response, I'm like, you know what? Let me just branch out on my own. I do have my mentor, which is my classroom teacher. Kudos to her. And I just do it on my own. I be honest with my experience. I'm honest with how long I have been around and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say to anybody that, oh, we're around 10 years when that's not the case. So they know, and I'm just upfront. However, re-experience, the program also allows you internship. So we did internship for a month also. So after school, we did internship for a month. So from there, I did get a little experience in terms of what to do or what to look for and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, so in terms of you said you got into the company right away. By the way, I don't know if MEIA stands for what again?
Making Every Interaction Admirable.
All right.
Dude, I like it. I didn't think of that. I thought it was like a name for your daughter or one of.
No, Making Every Interaction Admirable. When I sent you guys the info, I should have put that there, but then it's on the website and things. So, and it's here on my shirt.
Yeah, we're gonna share your social media platforms for sure. I just wanted to make sure that I get what MEIA means. Okay, so you started right away, you started the company not too long after you've completed all the necessary things. So what was it like in terms of getting this off the ground on the initial phase? So we got the education down, and we understand the passion, the drive, and the background to that. So just getting this thing off the ground now. You had to register the business first, or was it registered before? And
no,
then...
you can't register the business before.
Okay.
Because what they do, the industry is highly regulated. However, of course, you know, from time to time you would hear a person say somebody came to them or somebody is giving advice who is not a consultant but appeared to be a consultant. So persons need to be mindful of that, because in this case, for me, or for us rather, we can't register the company before. You have to pass the license exam first.
Okay. Okay.
After passing the license exam, you submit 3 names to ICCRC that you would want to use as your business name. Then they would say to you, okay, this name is approved, this name is not approved, so forth, so fifth. And from there, they would say to you, okay, this name is approved, go ahead and register the company. After registering the company, then they give you the go ahead now to open your bank account and stuff like that. So you can't do it before. You have to wait until you get the approval from them to do that. Funny enough, to share something quick with you, when I submitted the names, I actually submitted one Bar Gore, being Barham and Gordon for my husband's last name. And they actually said to me, they can't approve that one. They wanted to know what was the rationale behind that name, because I think in the Indian culture, they said something about meaning a rat or something. It was something discriminatory apparently. And I didn't know. I was like, no, it's Barham for my name and Gordon for my husband's name. And then, so I was like, you know what? And they said, okay, it's fine, given based on what I told them. So they actually approved it, but then I went with the MEIA just the same, because MEIA is actually a name my husband and I had from, we were in Jamaica, that we wanted to use. We wanted that, because I'm all for customer service. So whatever I do, I always want to ensure that persons are pleased. So we went ahead with the MEIA.
All right. So, okay. Let me go back to the previous question that I'd asked. So combine now the education plus all the setup now. How long did everything take?
Yeah, a year and 6 months roughly.
Okay, so that's including what you just described with the setup.
Yes.
Okay.
All of that would be roughly a year and 6 months. Because what I did, I did things along the way. So I knew that I have to do my exam, so the English exam. So I just put myself in place to get that out the window early. I think it was after finishing school, I did the second day, like let us say we would have finished classes today. There was a license exam probably a few days after, but I prepared myself for the other one, not the one immediately following completion of studies. And then we had to wait now for them to give you back the results. That takes a bit of time.
Sorry.
Okay.
When you said English exam, you mean the Canadian English exam? Like what you did in high school?
No, for this, they have a thing in immigration. You have what is called the Canadian language benchmark.
Okay.
So for persons who are, it's mainly used for persons who are becoming permanent residents, or if you want to qualify for school, because you have 2 versions. You have the academic side and the general side. So what they would do is say, okay, let us say somebody wants to study to become a doctor, for example, the school they're applying to may say that you need a Canadian language benchmark of, say, band 7. For the license exam, because I guess you have to have the license, they need you to also have that Canadian language benchmark, because in immigration, that is used a lot. So for me, I just look at it honestly to say, okay, they say you should do it. All right, fine. They say you should do it. That's it. But if I should give my honest opinion on it, I probably would disagree a bit, but it's what's recommended. So you can't fight it.
What you gonna do with the with the government?
So the reason why I ask, because if like somebody who went to high school here, graduated high school here, I'm asking, would that have applied to them? Because you have to do English to graduate. So you have to do it again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're born here.
Okay, that's what I want.
It doesn't matter if you weren't born here. Whether or not you're a citizen, you have to do it.
Okay, that's what I want, because I know when I went back to school, I had to do the English prep exam, which was nothing.
Yes.
And and then
You
I did it. So
You
yeah.
have ALS, you have CELPIP, and there's another one called CALE. They use those three based on my last knowledge in terms of the license exam. But for immigration purposes, it is only ALS or CELPIP.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So let's get into your world now. In terms of immigration, like I said, you know, in the Black community, that's always a topic of discussion, debate. How we come into a country, you know, whether when you're outside, once you're in the country, what are some of the things that you need to do to take care of, you know? So let's get into the information in terms of what you can talk to us about, what Black folks need to know. We're in COVID right now, right? I was read it. Funny enough, I was reading something earlier that it seemed like the Trudeau government is looking at you know, some sort of amnesty program for those who are here. I don't, maybe I don't, you know, just maybe if you don't know, that's fine. If you can help us to navigate all those information, but tell us about, you know what you do and how you help individuals and all that.
Okay, let me go first to the one you're talking about, the amnesty program. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but I know there is one where if persons were here before January 31st, I think it is, don't quote me wrong on the date, but I know it's January 2020. They have until December 31st to regularize their status. So if that's the one you're talking about, what people can do is, so let us say you came to Canada last year June. Or say September, because you would likely have a 6-month period. Right. So let us say you came last year, September, and you came as a visitor, but now your visitor status had expired in, say, February, which would be roughly 6 months, right? You are able to apply for extension or restoring your status if it is that you are now out of status. So everybody who has been here prior to that time, which is January 2020, or before January 31st, 2020, they need to ensure that they make use of this opportunity, because they're likely gonna approve. Because of COVID persons are not able to travel, so they're stuck here. So it's like, instead of having persons here illegally or out of status, why not regularize their status?
Okay. So for people who come on things like their visitor's visa or the 10-year visa, super visa, if they wanted to switch from temporary permanent resident to permanent resident, would you be the person that they come to? And how would they go about that?
Yes, if you are a temporary resident, let me make the distinctions. A temporary resident is somebody who is a visitor, a student, a worker. So it must be one of those three statuses, or you're here on a business visit also.
So the super visa wouldn't apply to that list?
Yes, temporary resident. So there would be the super visa, they're a visitor.
Okay.
So they would fall under that category. You have other categories, but they still would fall under one of those three main: work, visit, student, for the most part. Because you have persons who come, like, say, they would classify them as persons from the armed forces. They have their exemptions, but they're temporary residents. The other category, permanent residency, you are, as it says, a permanent resident or citizen. So whatever you're doing is to be permanent in Canada. So those are the two distinctions. If you come as a visitor, you're likely going to get your 6-month stay, or they grant you your visitor visa, which, whatever they may stamp, it may be 10 years, it may be up to the time of your passport, whichever is earlier. So it varies. It can be a year, 2 years, it depends on what the visa officer gives to you. You can come as a student, but let us say you finish school and you like, okay, how can I now become a permanent resident? Yes, that's what we do. We would advise you if after finishing school, you're able to apply for permanent residency, or is it that you may need to go back to school to be more eligible, or to become eligible rather, in terms of applying for permanent residency? In terms of, let's say somebody is here and they want to sponsor their spouse, then that person will now be applying for permanent residency status, or they're sponsoring their child. That person is applying for permanent residency status. So we would also help in that regard to say, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you go about doing it. What I would advise persons a lot of time is, if they can, even if at the end of the day you don't follow through with the consultant, one, whoever you're taking advice from, ensure they are authorized to give you consultation and to take your money, because not everybody is authorized. You have some persons that we classify as ghost consultants, and I hear some horror stories sometimes. I can't call them nothing but horror stories, where people take people money, and at the end of the day, basically they did not do the right thing. Right. And after the person probably got a refusal or is in limbo, then they know that, oh, this person wasn't authorized. So that's something people need to be mindful of. But what I would say is, on our website, it shows how you can check our credential as well. That's how you would basically check anybody who comes to you to tell you that they're an immigration consultant, or better yet, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. You go, they have the listing, and you can go on it to see whether or not the person is authorized. I would always say, at least spend that initial money for consultation to have an idea of what it is you can do, what is it you're eligible for, what is it you cannot do or shouldn't do. And from there, you can make a decision. So for example, I would have clients who do an initial consultation. After the initial consultation or during the initial consultation, I would have equipped them with that much information that they can do the process on their own if they choose. However, some of the processes, I must say to you, it's very tedious. So it's not a walkover in the sense that, oh, you just get up and, oh, you fill out some forms and that's it. No, it's very tedious. So you want to ensure that the individual is equipped with enough information during the initial consultation to decide whether or not, one, they're going to use their services, two, if it is that you provided enough information for them to be able to do it on their own, or if they may decide to do it on their own, but come back to us and say, okay, then I will fill out the forms, but I want you to guide me. Right. So it varies. So Canada has over, real quick, Canada has over 80 plus immigration programs. So it depends on what the person is eligible for, whether or not they went to school, they didn't go to school, whether or not they're applying directly for permanent residency, it varies. So we would have to first do an assessment with them also to say what they're likely eligible for.
So even if they got the chance to come, and I use Super Visa because that's the one that I know, that's the one that I actually had to learn about in school when we were doing immigration part of our program, because I went to school to study to become a law clerk. So with that, if they already did all the application for that and they got through on a Super Visa, is it a hard transition from Super Visa, which is a temporary resident, to permanent resident? Is it a hard transition, or is it a completely different thing? Because I know in October 20th, the government opened up 3 weeks for everybody who grandparents and parents wanted to come through. They had that big flush and then they shut it. I think they were about to shut it down either this week or next week. Something, there was like a 3-week window everybody was allowed.
November 5th. It's closed already. But that's not Super Visa though.
Wasn't it for the parents and grandparents?
Yeah, but that's not Super Visa. Super Visa is totally different from parent and grandparent sponsorship.
Oh, okay.
Super Visa is when individual who is a permanent resident or Canadian citizen wants their parents to come to Canada on a temporary basis.
Okay.
What you saw recently in October to November was for a permanent basis. It's for them to become a permanent resident. What the super visa does is they give you, instead of the average person, just let us say I have a relative coming from Jamaica to stay, they likely get a 10-year visa, or as I say, whatever is the duration of their passport. So it varies. But when they enter Canada, they only get 6 months in Canada at a time. What the super visa does is allows that parent or grandparent to be in Canada 2 years at a time. So that parent or grandparent can stay in Canada for 2 years without going back home or without leaving Canada. Mm-hmm. The parent or grandparent sponsorship that opened recently, however, that is for them to become permanent residents, to live in Canada permanently without going back home if they choose not to.
So one can go into the other.
Yes, every temporary resident, as long as they're eligible, can apply for permanent residency. The exemption is only there if you're not qualified. So it must be something. So let us say you were here as a visitor, for example, but then you committed a crime. Things like that would bar you or make you now inadmissible to become a permanent resident. So you would now have to either seek, whether if it's a crime you committed, you may have to seek rehabilitation. For some things, you have what is called ARC. We call it ARC in the field, authorization to return to Canada. It varies. So that's why I say, just saying generally, yes, you can be a temporary resident and apply for permanent residency. In a general question, that's a yes. Okay. However, the bullet points under that, if this, if that, exception this, exception that. So it varies.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I have to ask those questions.
No, that's fine.
Oh,
another thing. I've heard this for years, but reading up on it on the websites, I kind of have that question. It is said that it's easier for children to come into Canada than adults. Is that a correct statement?
No. In my field, no, because the child has to come with an adult, or the child is gonna come to an adult. It varies. So that's not, or probably I should say, it's not a yes or no question. Everything comes back to what you're eligible for. I remember when I was in school, and sometimes we'll ask the teacher some questions, and she like, it depends. And we would look at each other like, you never asked her something yet. And sometimes she's like, it depends. It depends. But when you're actually in the field, you realize it depends, because what happens, somebody will just give you a scenario. And I've had this already, where you get a scenario from an individual wanting consultation and stuff like that. And then during the consultation, there's some light bulbs, and you're like, ding, 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 ding. This doesn't make sense. This is not adding up. Something, something, something. And then now it's a totally different case you have on your hand now than what the person told you about. Mm-hmm. Because one, some information persons may think that, oh, that's not important. Really? But then you find out that, hey, for example, real quick, a friend of mine applied for a visitor visa. She was refused. When she got the refusal, it told her that she lied on her application, because she said she has never been refused a visitor visa, when she indeed was refused a visitor visa for the US.
Oh, so they share information then, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Australia, New Zealand, USA, and the UK share information. So whatever happens in those countries, the other is gonna know.
Canada. So Canada.
Yeah, they share information with Canada. Sorry.
Repeat those countries again. USA, Canada, Australia.
Australia, New Zealand, US, UK. United Kingdom, United States of America. They all share information with Canada. So if you do something in one of those countries, the information is shared.
Okay.
So she called me and she was like, oh, what am I to do? Yada, yada, yada. I'm like, speak the truth. So you can either lie again, which is not good, or you're gonna let them know that yes, you indeed said the wrong thing. However, I told her that, like, put it this way, you had no intention of misleading them. Because if it is, you're going to try to polish it off to act as if, oh, no, that's not what you did, then you're indeed lying. So admit that you lied, you're sorry for it, and you had no intention of misleading them. She reapplied and she got it.
Well, I was about to say, wasn't it a question specific in that particular case to Canada? And maybe she wasn't thinking of United, you know?
No, the question, that specific question says, have you ever been refused a visit? Have you ever been refused a visa or permit to Canada or any other country?
Okay.
So people tend to, at times, for that, they will put no when the answer is actually yes. So just put yes and say, oh, I applied in 2018, but I was refused. Right. I applied whenever time, but I was refused. But
so dealing with the immigration authorities, you're saying, well, I mean, telling the truth is always, you know, what you're supposed to do. So just be upfront and straightforward.
Because they know. Sometimes when I remember, I had a client who was giving me some information, and then I realized she wanted me to meet her because she was in Ontario. And she gave me a particular address. So then I said to her, okay, when I checked the address, I realized that was like 7 minutes from my home. So I'm like, okay, I'll just drop the documents to you for you to sign and I'll just collect it. This was in the height of COVID. So she said to me, oh, I'm not at that address. I only put that address XYZ. I'm like, why? She doesn't want immigration to know where she's at. I'm like, really? You think immigration don't know where you are? If they want you, they can find you. Because she entered Canada legally. She's working and everything. She's not working under the books. And that's the irony. It's not like she's working under the books. Right. She's working. She has a SIN. If they want you, they're going to find you. So I had to say to her, this doesn't make sense. So give me the correct address and let me put that there. Because if I put this here, and then they do the checks and realize you're not living there, that's where the issue lies. Mark you, as immigrants, we do know the whole issue of coming and not going back and overstaying and all of that situation. There are ways around it. And I would always say to people, it's better you regularize your status sooner than later. Because the process takes time. You can apply for, if let us say you lose your status, so you overstayed. Within a 90-day period, you can apply for what is called a restoration of status. Mm-hmm. If you are not able to apply for restoration of status, you have what is called temporary resident permit. A lot of people don't know this. It's something they can do. This is when you are out of status. You can't apply for anything else. You're not eligible for anything else. That's the only thing you're now left to apply for. No, if it is that you apply for a TRP, which is a temporary resident permit, not a temporary resident visa, if you apply for a TRP and you're refused, that's where you need to have some concern as what your next step is going to be. What are you going to do to regularize your status? Are you going to try to make an appeal? Whether or not you're going to apply for refugee status? Some people do that. Some people even think that, oh, they can just get up and apply for refugee status. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to do all the steps first and then you follow. But the main one, and I hope anybody who is listening would know that you can always apply for what is called temporary resident permit. And the beauty about Canadian immigration is that as long as you are in status and you apply for something, you're on what is called implied status. So no matter how long immigration takes to answer you, you're fine until that time. So for example, the temporary resident permit one, that takes a while to get a response. But as long as you apply for something, so let us say you came as a visitor again, and then your visitor visa, your 6 months ended January. When your 6 months ends in January, then you can now say, okay, you know what? I'm going to apply for an extension, for example, or something else. So even if that stay expires, you're on what is called implied status until you hear back from immigration.
Oh.
Okay. Why is it that individuals are so, especially from our community, so nervous when it comes to the interaction with immigration authorities, or, you know, sorting out papers? In addition to that, like, you know, a lot of people from our community, I remember the Jamaican, it was a number of years ago, the Jamaican consulate basically was encouraging us to help them get information out to our people, to become citizens, because they've been here for years and years, and they're missing out on a lot of perks, right? I mixed two questions there, but I think you remember them.
Yeah, I think the first one, in terms of the fear,
yeah,
I'm more seeing that in the older folks.
Okay.
The younger ones now are quicker to get things out the way or get things done.
Right.
The older folks are more like, it's happened already, make it stay. They'll just ride with the tides.
Yeah.
Not knowing, some of it is a lack of information.
Right.
Funny enough, I remember my husband, we were at a church meeting, and my husband was saying to the church, I think it was probably at a board meeting, some meeting we were discussing something, and he was saying we need to have more interaction with persons. So you see somebody coming new, from the get-go, find out what their status is. Do they need assistance in regularizing their status? If it is they're not regularized, stuff like that. Because some just don't know.
Right.
Somebody, again, I know, somebody came to me and said, oh, you know, I got your number from somebody. I need to talk to you about a friend.
Mm-hmm.
No, about a family member. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. Contact me, whatever. Only to see a church member or another friend of mine saying to me that she gave somebody my number and that person is supposed to make contact with me. Only to find out the person who was telling me it's a friend is actually that person. And I'm like,
maybe you wouldn't recognize the voice.
But I'm like, you know what? Tell the person I'm here. Whenever they're ready, give me a call. Because for especially the people at my church, I don't charge. That consultation is free. I'm helping with regards to what it is. And even some situations, I'm not going to tell that, oh, my service is free of cost. No. But there's some things, some situations, you just provide the assistance. You let God work out the cost or whatever it is that needs to be worked out. And in that regard, the person hasn't contacted me to date. And I found out prior to that, she paid how many money to people before. And she just needs to do one thing to regularize her status. But she didn't come to me. And she hasn't come to me as yet. I'm hoping everything is fine with her. But what I don't do for sure, I don't make initial contact. Okay. None at all. And I'll never do it. And it's something we learned because the fraud that is in the field with ghost consultants, it is always best for the person who wants the assistance to make the initial contact, and then we or I will follow up after to say, okay, you made contact with me, X, Y, Z.
Okay, well, I have the juicy question. Is it a lucrative business? You don't have to give me dollar amount. You don't have to give me anything. But say if you have maybe 5 clients for the month, are you paying your bills or are you still needing to do side hustles?
At the moment with COVID.
No. Put COVID aside on a regular.
COVID aside, but the thing is, remember, we recently started, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to put COVID aside in this regard. But I'm seeing where if it weren't for COVID, the side hustle wouldn't be like really necessary to that extent. But you always want more, so. And this is Canada. You want to live your best life wherever you are, right? And you don't want to just get comfortable, because I remember even before doing whatever I do, when we were purchasing our car, I said, Lord, please provide this vehicle so I'm able to help others. When I'm getting in immigration, Lord, please provide this way so I'm able to help others. And sometimes you do need money to help others. Something you don't need the money, some things you do. But yeah, if I get 5 clients, and it depends on what the 5 clients are doing.
Right.
It depends, because it can just be 5 consultations. Some days I will have, some weeks I'll probably have 4 days worth of consultation. And then there are some instances where you don't have that. So it depends on what they're doing. If they're doing just a study permit, if they're doing a visitor visa application, if they're doing a spousal sponsorship, it varies.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give the price, because some of the prices are base prices, and it depends on what you do after.
So Shay is showing your social media information here. So while she's doing that, the other side of the same coin, for someone who is going through the immigration process, how much would it cost them? Just generally, not necessarily specific to you, but you know, and I understand they may want different things done. And I totally understand that. But let's just say you as a consultant, you are walking them through a process. Narrow it down. It can take X amount of time or whatever the case is. Like a person should, it's sort of like buying a house. You know, okay, you have to put down X amount of money because this money is going to be dedicated towards your down payment. So what is it like? Same coin but different side for the person.
The very first thing I would do, somebody comes in and say, oh, I want to do whatever it is.
Yeah.
I do a consultation. We do what's called an initial consultation. In the initial consultation, that would be $150 if you're in Canada.
Right.
If you're outside of Canada, it's $170, because for Canada it's plus tax.
Right.
So the tax basically brings it up back to the 170. Okay. However, for persons in the security field, police officers, yes, soldiers, correctional officers, I do half off for initial consultation. Now, after the initial consultation, then I would know what the person wants to do. Is it that they're doing a study permit? Is it that they're doing a spousal sponsorship? Is it that they're doing an express entry application? It varies. So whatever they're doing at that point, then we would know, well, prior to the consultation, I would know that, oh, that's the idea. But sometimes during the consultation, they want to do one thing, but then they realize that, oh, they're not eligible for this, so they have to do something else. So yes, we do have payment plans but let's say a study permit, you're looking at anywhere starting, say, $900 to $1,000 starting, because it depends on one, if you had a refusal before.
Yeah.
It depends if it is we are doing your application for you.
Right.
That varies, because our main thing is the consultation part of it, but then doing the application itself, that's different. So if it is we're doing that for you, a visitor visa and a study permit is basically run about the same price. But let us say you're applying for express entry, which is direct permanent residency, or spousal sponsorship. You're looking at anywhere starting $3,000 upwards.
Okay.
And it varies. And yes, you do have payment plans. It can be that you decide, oh, we're going to pay on a weekly basis, on a month-by-month basis, depending on how long the application is going to take to come through, all of that. So it varies. And those are different from the government fees. Government fees we have no control of. We made that clear in the retainer. So if when you sign the retainer, the government fees, say for a spousal sponsorship, is $1,050, and then 2 days after signing the retainer, the government raised it to $2,000. That's not on us, that's on the government. So you would have to pay that. But our fees would remain. However, let us say during the processing of the application now, I found out, or it came to my attention based on the notes and based on what I'm doing, I realized that, hey, you had a refusal before. I'm not going to go any further with that application until I do what is called an ATIP, which is getting information from your previous refusal.
Right.
But me submitting that just like that, I'm setting up myself for another refusal, not addressing your previous refusal. So, and the beauty of the field is that there's not a price ceiling nor a price flooring. So whatever, some persons may say, oh, that's so expensive, or some person, but that person charged cheaper. It varies. I would always say if they're not able to accept the cost, I say it's nice doing business with you. I do appreciate it. See you next time, or I look forward to working with you in the future, something of the sort. But you have to be careful not to lower your price when you know your worth. So it varies. Some situations, as I say, you
Sorry, can you just say that sentence again one more time?
Don't lower your price when you know your worth.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So if, for something,
we're talking money here, okay? Well, that sounds like it's going somewhere.
For some things and some situations, I would prefer doing it free than to say, oh, you know, persons come to you, oh, that's so expensive. And I'm like, go elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's the case, because I know persons who charge way more than I do, but I'm not going to negotiate the person's costs. Yet some people may come and like, oh, what, babe, this is my situation, yada, 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 fine. But if we can't, then see you when we can.
Okay. We're almost out of time. You know, and by the way, you know, this is Miss Renee Barham, and she's with MEIA Immigration Consultancy, right?
Consulting Inc.
Or Consulting Inc. And she's been giving us some great information in terms of the immigration process. We shared her social media information. Now she is on YouTube, right? And they can just find you by just typing in MEIA on YouTube. Is that it?
MEIA Immigration, and it will come up.
Immigration, right, on YouTube. She is on Facebook. I just saw your Facebook page as well, right? And I saw a website, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
And that logo, just so you know, we're changing over to our new logo slowly but surely. It's more presence in terms of what we do, because that logo wasn't so clear. So we kind of doing the what you call it, you know, Canada, we always say we the North. This represents Canada here and everybody coming to the North.
Okay.
But if I have probably 2 minutes or 3 minutes, can I share a situation real quick?
All right, take two, yes.
All right, real quick. For persons who are coming as, say, visitors, no, students, it is good for them to know that their child can come to Canada and study as well if it is they are registered at a designated learning institution, a government institution, because some persons don't know that. They think, oh, they're coming to Canada to study and they have to leave their child. They can come, as well as if they have a spouse, the spouse can come to work and the child come to school if the child is under a certain age, if the child is classified as a minor. So I just wanted to get that clear there, because I had an issue recently where I had to basically be fighting with Peel School Board in order to get 2 children in school.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that clarification. Thanks for that information.
You're welcome.
Listen, we're more than happy to have you here. We are well informed. We got a lot of information. There's a whole lot more that we could ask you, but we only have a limited amount of time. What we can promise you, or we can make a commitment to this, is to bring you back.
No problem. No problem.
Especially now that we're going through COVID and we're getting a lot of information coming out of from the government out to the public.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help us navigate those things better, right?
No problem. Whenever you're ready.
All right. So Miss Renee Barham, and she's with MEIA Immigration Consulting Inc.
Making every interaction admirable.
Yay! Great way to end. All right, folks. We are going to see you back here next Monday, 2 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Remember, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we are on Instagram, BlackBuzzT0. All right, take care of yourself.
Bye. Thank you.